Okay, the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. We have talked about already the beginning of the poem, where, and the fact that he calls it a love song. But it's a very strange. I mean, to whom is it addressed? I don't know. I mean, who is he speaking to? And as we said last time, if some guy came knocking on my door anyhow and said, "Let us move in, you and I, while the evening is spread out against the sky," like a patient etherized upon a table. Yeah, we're on 2075. Well, 2076 now. But that patient etherized upon a table is jarring. It's not pleasant. It doesn't sound like something that would be in a love song, right? It's odd. And that oddity is, there's actually a technical term for it. It is called a metaphysical conceit. That was first, well, I don't know that we would say first used. I'm sure that there are others who have done this sort of thing. But it was a device that was used largely by the metaphysical poets. One of those poets was John Donne, who writes just about the time, or just a little bit after Shakespeare, okay? So, T.S. Eliot is a modernist poet. He's writing modern poetry, okay? This is modern poetry. What we read today, like if you go pick up a magazine and it's got poetry in it that was written last week, that's not modern poetry. Am I right, Alicia? Would it be postmodern? She writes poetry. She was actually read poetry at South Alabama 3 weeks ago? Yes, okay. But today it would at least be postmodern, or we don't have a name for it now, but it's not modern poetry because the modern era is gone. We are postmodern or something. Nobody's got a word for it yet. But the modern poets, especially T.S. Eliot, liked the poetry of, say, John Donne and the metaphysical poets. He's looking back to a time when there was something that connected to meaning, okay? The modern era, as we talked about, the World War, the First World War, the flu epidemic, the Depression, all these things. We've got this loss of faith, this shattering of meaning, the shattering of the culture and tradition. Now, he's saying, where can we find meaning? It's all in fragments. Well, he looks back and he likes the metaphysical poets, such as John Donne, who also used metaphysical conceits, and one that you might remember probably from high school. There's a poem called The Flea by John Donne, and it's about this guy thinking about how he would really like to get to know this girl the way that there's a flea on her neck, right? And it's like, ooh, he would really like to get to know her the way the flea does, crawling around, you know, on her neck, or even sucking her blood, and, you know, stuff like that. He would really become, it's like he would really get to be one with her, right? Know her very intimately, right? Okay. You're going, ooh, these weird old people. There's, you know, this kind of Shakespeare, yeah, fleas, it's kind of creepy. There is a country song out there. Oh, gosh. There is, right now, that is... What is it?
Is that Brad Paisley song?
I'm going to check you for ticks.
Yes, I like to check you for ticks, yes. The same kind of idea. Okay. I don't know that I can credit him with using a metaphysical conceit, but if you're going, oh, those gross old poets, it's out there in country music today. So anyhow, it's a weird kind of thing. It jars us when we first look at it. Okay? John Donne. We've also got, is it a valediction forbidding warning, where it's the stiff twin compasses. Two lovers, it's a drafter's compass. You know, it's kind of looks like this, and then it's got the little legs that come from the center And it's like, you know, this one's got a point and this one's the pencil, and you draw with it. Or do you still do that in math class? Do you just, I don't know, text it or something these days? But it's like that draftsman's compass. And so when it's like, and it sits like this, and he says in the poem that we're like two lovers who, when one goes away, the other one leans in his direction. And so they're attached, but even though they go far apart, they're always still connected. That's another metaphysical conceit. It's an odd choice to put a draftsman's compass into the middle of a poem, okay? A love poem. It's strange. Same thing as the patient etherized upon a table, okay? So you can just kind of think about it that way. He wants us to think in different ways and to kind of break with our familiarity, you could say. It's kind of a defamiliarization, although that's more novels, but he wants to defamiliarize us so that we've got some sense of looking at something in a new way. Okay, now it is weird, and so we go through these, we go through the alleyways and the places with the restless nights and one-night cheap hotels, the sawdust restaurants with oyster shells. So we've got this. As we said, it's a place where probably you have prostitutes, it's cheap restaurants, it's scary people a little bit. But where is he going? Where did we say he was going to arrive? Is he going to meet a prostitute?
Party.
Pardon?
Going to a tea party of some sort.
It's like a tea party. He's going to some kind of a tea party, yes. He's going to something, what do they talk about at the tea party?
Michelangelo. Just the usual stuff.
What?
Usual stuff.
The usual stuff. They talk about Michelangelo because typically in a one-night cheap hotel, would you talk to somebody about Michelangelo?
No.
Probably not, right? So what kind of people are these that he's going to see?
High class.
The high-class people. He's going to drink tea and talk about Michelangelo because they've all been to the opening at the gallery or whatever, right? They're all very special people, right? And so, what's important to them? Do they have a big life? These are big people in town. We probably know them. Maybe because they all donated to the museum. So they must be the big people, right? You're saying no?
Oh, they had who said they had a routine life?
They have a routine life. Yeah, it's very routine. Are they moved to, what should great art do? They're talking about Michelangelo. What is art? So why do we care about art? Why do we care about great literature?
It's creative.
To make you feel something.
To make you feel something. Okay.
Inspiration.
Inspiration for what? What?
Your life.
Your life.
They're usually speaking about something, like they're making a very valid point in their own perspective.
Okay, so they're talking about their own perspective. Now, Michelangelo. What's Michelangelo? Tell me about Michelangelo. What do you know about
He
him?
did the Sistine Chapel.
Painted the Sistine Chapel.
He did David, I think.
Yes, David.
He did a lot.
I just can't. He's from Italy.
He's from Italy.
I've been on biblical scenes.
What?
Biblical scenes.
Yes, he was commissioned to do a lot of biblical scenes.
I think he drew the human body too.
Drew the human body. He's known
Yeah.
for being accurate. Okay. That's interesting. Michelangelo is known for depicting life as it really is, right? Okay. We actually, on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel in that painting, I believe that at least the way it was painted, God's behind is there. Because there's that thing about Moses seeing God. Isn't it Moses? Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to get in trouble for saying this on the video, but anyhow. But then I think that at some point they had it covered up. And now it's, I don't know if it's still there or not, I can't remember, but, you know, it's like showing the realities of life, right? So if you see Michelangelo, what should you be moved? What's important then about, I mean, have you ever seen a great work of art firsthand?
Yes.
You have, where?
I went to the Louvre 2 summers ago.
Oh. And what's the difference between maybe seeing it on a video and seeing it at the Louvre?
Because like for me, like when I'm at art museums, it's like I look really closely, like I can see like the strokes and like I can just, it's one thing seeing a picture and actually like seeing it, like, I guess it's just.
What's the difference though? Okay, and this is important. This is more important even than rushing through and just getting through all the poetry. What's the difference between looking at the Peanuts comic strip, which very often conveys truth, or even Funky Winkerbean comic strip, and seeing a real Michelangelo, seeing the Mona Lisa?
Yeah, that's my favorite. For me, it's just like the details and like, you know, like the hard work. And sometimes it's just the story behind it, like the, you know,
Yeah.
the meaning about the purpose behind the painting.
They have
The
like,
purpose.
a lot of times when you look at the picture, the artwork, it has texture in it.
Yeah.
You can see it.
So now we know how he did it.
Yeah, that's what I always like to see the paint strokes and sometimes even the crossouts.
Or the feeling that it gives you, because like when we went to go see the David, it was a totally different feeling than just like seeing it on a video.
Right.
It's different.
Just like how big it was and how like magnificent it was, and just like being in that moment and just like seeing it was totally different than just like looking at a video.
You know, okay, you saw David in Florence?
Italy is
Yeah. And, okay, when you go in and, you know, you go into the room this way and down from this David, okay, did y'all see there were like pieces of stone that had been partially carved? And it was like you have these people coming out of squares of, and these are by Michelangelo also. I
I just
think
didn't finish.
either he didn't finish it, or I don't know, this would be very modern or postmodern or something, but it's like you've got these people who are struggling to get out of this block of stone. Honestly, that was more moving than
Yeah.
David, because I was like, oh, you could see the progress there, which is just, it's like the difficulty in making the artwork. But what's different then? Okay, you were moved when you saw David, right? Okay. Music. You play